Hey everybody, welcome back to Lori's Boston Found, where thrifted is the new black. My name is Lori. I'm a full-time reseller on Poshmark and on eBay. And today I have a very special video for you. I reached a big milestone. On March 30th, I hit 3,000 sales on Poshmark. I've been on the platform since August of 2018, and I finally hit 3,000 sales. So I decided to do a little Q&A via Instagram stories, and many of you wrote in and asked me some questions about Poshmark. I thought I would share some of my experience and answer some questions that anybody might have on the Poshmark app. So if that sounds interesting to you, stick around. We'll be right back. I want to start off by saying thank you to anyone who has ever made a purchase from my Poshmark closet or eBay or direct sales. There is just no way that I would be here without my audience and without the people who support my small business. And before we get started, if you do like reseller content and you like videos about thrifting and you enjoy haul videos or what sold videos, give this video a thumbs up if you have a good time, and consider subscribing to my channel. It really helps me out. If you do either of those things, subscribe, like, or hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when I release videos. So thank you so much for that. So on March 30th, like I said, I hit 3,000 sales on Poshmark. It has taken me 2 years and about 6 months to get here. Some people get here a lot faster than this. For others, it may take a little bit of time. I'm just sharing my experience with you. If you're unfamiliar with how the Poshmark app works, whatever you sell, they take 20%. My total amount earned in those 3,000 sales over the course of 2.5 years was $76,629.97. And that is after they take their 20%. My average cost of goods is about $5. So to get to this amount of sales, that means I spent about $15,000, which means my total free and clear profit, before I pay taxes, of course, is about $61,000 over the course of 2.5 years. So I just figured I would share that info before I start answering questions. Thank you to everybody who wrote in. Some questions I might combine. I'm gonna try to go fast during this. I have already filmed this once and I screwed up something with my camera and none of the information transferred over for like 20 minutes of it. I just had my hair colored and my friend just started spray tanning, and so she was doing free trials. So I literally just had my whole body sprayed about 2 hours ago. And I think that the tan is just gonna come out while we talk. So we should compare how I look at the beginning of this video to how I look at the end, and we'll see how it goes. It feels so good to have a little bit of color after this long quarantine. All right, first question is, how many active listings do you currently have? The answer to that is 1,270 active listings. I was just over 1,300 and I've been running some good sales in my closet. Got me under 1,300. I'd love to be around 1,000, but currently I am at 1,270. Next question. Have you had any snobby friends be judgmental about reselling? This person said, I have. Oh, that's a bummer. Not to my face, not that I know of. I think that the most criticism I have ever received has been from strangers on the internet via YouTube. And I try to take those comments with a grain of salt. I think the biggest criticism from like the haters on YouTube are those who think that being a reseller is stealing from the poor. We are not stealing from the poor. We are helping sustain our environment and keep us on this earth a little bit longer by recirculating clothes back into the system. I used to get offended by that, but I don't anymore because I just feel very strongly about what I do for good. In general, the people who know me realize that what I do is the perfect fit for me. Sometimes when I'm at functions with my husband and they're all very accomplished accountants and sometimes their wives are attorneys, before reselling, I worked at a doll store and I worked in the doll hair salon doing dolls' hair. So if that didn't bother me, then this certainly doesn't. So I'm very proud of what I do. I enjoy talking about it, and no, nobody's ever criticized me for it. I keep adjusting my cleavage here. Okay, next question. How do you deal with reseller burnout? I'm part-time and it can even be a struggle for me. Yes, reseller burnout is very real. And I think it's an issue because our work, if we want it to, can be 24/7. Poshmark doesn't have hours like Nordstrom does. So you have to create your own hours and do your best to shut things down when you feel like you're getting overwhelmed. For me, I feel the most overwhelmed when I'm trying to juggle editing for YouTube, listing for Poshmark, what's going on with my family at home, and when it all kind of piles up on me, it can be pretty overwhelming. I do use a planner. I think that planning things out helps calm me down a little bit. Like if I'm lying in bed at night and I don't know what's on my agenda for the next day, my mind can race. But sometimes if I just get all of my thoughts out on paper and organize them in some way, sometimes I realize it's not as overwhelming as I think it is. And if it is overwhelming and I plan my day or my week, it gives me the opportunity to maybe move things around so I don't get burnt out. I also think that it's really, really important for me to have a life outside of reselling. I have great friends who are resellers. You know who you are. I love you. But it's very important for me to keep my friends from home. I have a really great network of people here in my hometown. I'm very close with my family. So it's important for me to not lose sight of that side, because reselling can be social, it can be work, and the lines get blurred quite often. Sometimes the best thing to do is just unplug from social media. Just shutting it down keeps your mind off of reselling. Even if you're working at home, you're not like necessarily thinking about it. I have friends, when they're working, they don't watch reseller content. I tend to watch hauls and other resellers. I have friends that are like, nope, when I'm steaming or when I'm doing something else, listing, I'm watching something completely unrelated to reselling, or I'm listening to a podcast unrelated to reselling. So to just kind of keep your mind off of reselling. And I think just focusing on work-life balance, and that looks different for everybody. And I am a little bit like do as I say, not as I do, because I am not the best at work-life balance, but I do feel like my family does keep me in check. Like they'll say, shut that computer off, Mom, put your phone down, watch the show with me, snuggle with me, you know, let's have some tea, or whatever they're asking me to do. And I'm grateful that I have family that just keeps me in check, because it is hard. Ironically, the next question is, how do I get more involved in the community? I'm not new, but I have been solo reselling. So that's interesting, because now my answer is going to be, if you want to get involved with the community, social media can really help you out. I met all of my friends, my reseller friends, through social media, through Instagram, through like a little Posh event, and through YouTube, you know, just reaching out to other people. I think sometimes just commenting on other people's accounts that you're drawn to, you know, you will eventually find your people. It took me a while. There are people who I used to talk to a lot more in the beginning of reselling, who now just may be friendly acquaintances, and people who I didn't even know a year ago who are very close to me, who are also resellers. So eventually you find your people. Another avenue that comes to a surprise to me is Clubhouse. So Clubhouse isn't available for everybody, but it's like an interactive podcast essentially, and it's an app that you download. It's only available through iPhone, and also unfortunately you have to have an invitation to become a member. I hope that changes soon. To keep adjusting this, I'm sorry, I'm gonna talk with my hand here for the video. I've met some really great friends through Clubhouse just over the past couple of months who I had no idea who they were before Clubhouse. I started a group for resellers over 40, and that has been a really nice avenue for me to connect with people. Yeah, I love all my young reseller friends, but I was craving contact and interaction with people who were over 40. I thought we were a unique group of people with a different set of skills and experience to bring to reselling. And so I started a room on Clubhouse for resellers over 40, and that was an avenue I took to meet different resellers outside of those who I already knew. Some overlap, of course, but yeah, I think social media is a great way to meet other resellers. And another thing that's maybe a little bit more small scale, which during COVID we haven't been able to do, but Posh and Sips, where you can meet up with other Poshers in your community, you know, attending things like Posh Fest or eBay Open, which again, this year, I think everybody's feeling that isolation a little bit, but I think as things open, there'll be more social events where you can meet people within the community and find your tribe. Next question, when you get home from the thrift, Do you wash your clothes or just get to listing? When I first read this, I thought they meant, do I wash the clothes that I'm wearing? And the first time I answered this question, that's how I answered. And I do wash my clothes when I get home from the bins. I don't get to listing right away. What I typically do is I enter things in my spreadsheet. It's one of the few good habits I have that typically when I get home and I enter into my spreadsheet what my average cost of goods was, then I write down the size. Another thing that I like to do during my intake is start researching items. So if I have an item and I want to look up the style number, sometimes I'll find information right off the bat, take a screenshot that maybe I'll use a stock photo of later, or I'll just take the description or maybe just the title of a garment that I got some information on. I'll do all that right when I get in. And then once I do my spreadsheet, I will take the clothes upstairs that need to be washed and I'll wash those. And the other items will go downstairs and get hung in preparation for steaming measurements and photos. But that doesn't always happen right then and there. That step sometimes comes, the next day or within the upcoming week. If I'm really excited about an item, I'll come home and I'll get it listed right away. Washing isn't always the first thing I do when I get home. Next question, what are the best investments you've made for your business? Few things that I think have made my life really easy. Nothing is really essential that I'm going to mention, but they've all been great investments. And I consider an investment anything that's over $50 to $100 that, takes some thought before I buy it because it's expensive. So definitely my Jiffy steamer, I absolutely love. I definitely spent more money on that. It was like $159, $169. I just knew right off the bat I wanted a good steamer. I've had experiences with bad steamers before, so I wanted to just go right to one of the best out there. And I bought the Jiffy and I have not had any regrets with that. I'm not saying run out and buy a Jiffy steamer, but you just might want to read the reviews, even if you buy something that's a little bit more economical. But a steamer is a great investment. Because I don't wash all of my items and I do like to steam everything so it looks presentable in my pictures. I also love my Amazon photo box for hard goods, for handbags, for shoes, for small items, jewelry. I've just always had that set up and I use it every single day. That was a great investment. My label maker, truthfully, I was given my label maker. The company Phomemo was the first brand to reach out to me and offer me a printer in exchange for like an honest review. Prior to the Phomemo, I had a different label printer and it just wasn't working for me. Over time, it like spit out too many labels. It would go offline. I just had a bad experience with it. So when Phomemo reached out, timing was really good. I would say for like 6 to 9 months, I just printed my labels on the printer and I would cut with scissors around and I would tape them onto my boxes. And then the next step was to buy label print paper. So it would print the label and I would just peel it off and stick it onto my boxes. And then my next step was to get my thermal label printer. Oh, and lastly, I think my lights were a really good investment. I started out with the umbrella lights and I tripped over them so many times and they fell on the ground so many times that eventually both of them broke. I switched over to a ring light that I'm much happier with. It was a little bit more money, but my ring light takes up less room. I didn't need that at first either because I was upstairs when I first started and I was taking pictures with a lot of natural lighting, which I think is the best. But when I moved my business down to the basement, I was in an area of the basement that had no windows, so lighting was essential for me. So my lighting, my printer, and my photo box, and my steamer. Those are all like awesome things that were definitely investments, but well worth it. The next question is, do you need to constantly post every day to make sales? I don't think constantly post every day in order to make sales, but I do think you need to be consistent. I don't think that there's some magic number that you need to post every single day at a specific time. There's a lot of like urban legends out there that there are certain like formulas that work. And I have just found that consistency is what works for me. So consistently listing, consistently sharing my own closet, updating listings, relisting if I need to. I send out a lot of offers. I don't know if that helps me make sales. I believe that it does. I share my own closet several times a day. I do think that being active on the app and listing consistently does help. I mean, even if you're just doing like 3 items a day, I think that's great. The app needs to know that you're thinking about it. So the more active you are on the app, I believe the more sales that you will make. But that is just my opinion, and that is not proven. Nobody knows for sure, but I do think that all those elements help, as well as having desirable items, having good customer service, taking good clean pictures. All that comes into play too. Pricing your items right. Those all impact the amount of sales that you will make. And I think that over time, you learn what works for you. Okay, next one says, can you adopt me? I'm 33 and I come with a husband and 3 beautiful babies. This is just so funny because I feel like my house is like a halfway house for all of my kids' friends anyways. So yeah, sure. I mean, what's 5 more people, right? I could adopt a few more people. My kids are in college. We have plenty of space. That's a cute one. I like that. All right, next question. How many hours a day/week do you work on reselling, including YouTube? I like that this person included YouTube in that question because I even struggle saying that I'm a full-time reseller, because while I am a full-time reseller, I consider myself a full-time reseller, YouTube is a big part of that for me. I put out at least 2 videos every week. And like, for example, this video that you're seeing today, I already filmed once and it took me an hour and a half. And then I went to edit for almost an hour. I was on hour number 2 with a different segment of the video. And when I popped out my SD card, I lost everything. I have to refilm all over again. So my videos, between filming and editing and then doing a thumbnail and filling out all the stuff that I need to fill out on my YouTube channel, like including tags and things like that, it can take me anywhere between 4 and 8 hours per video. So I would say it's a solid 15 hours a week just in YouTube content. And I would say that I, on average, work probably 4 or 5 hours per day on reselling stuff. And that's 7 days a week. I don't really take a day off from reselling, even if it's just little things like waking up and sharing my closet or sending out offers, or shipping takes a lot of time for me. Shipping is like a good solid hour a day at least. But I also am not very efficient when I ship. I'm like sipping coffee, I'm checking emails, I'm watching a YouTube video. But sometimes with shipping, I go at a very leisurely pace. So that shows sometimes in my productivity. I think because I've been home for COVID, it's been really hard to determine my hours for reselling. And I don't know if anybody else is feeling this. Prior to COVID, my kids would leave for school at 7:15 in the morning. My husband would already be gone. I would go downstairs, I would photograph from like 7:15 to 9:15. My mail would typically get picked up by 11. So by 9:30, I'd come up, I would do all of my shipping. By 10:30, when the mail was out, I would probably shower and then maybe go thrifting for the day, come home, film a YouTube video. Now, with people home, I'm juggling all day long. I have the dogs barking, my son's in and out, my husband's working from home. It's just very different. So I think this past year has been very weird for me to put a number of hours on reselling, because I feel like I do it around the clock, but that I'm not ever doing it super focused and super efficiently. Does that make sense? But I would say between the two, I'm at like 40 to 50 hours a week. Next question is, what do you think is the best way to send offers on Poshmark? I typically wait a little while after somebody has liked my item, and I am a person who sends out offers as the likes come in. So there are some people that send out offers once a week, like they'll decide on a Thursday night right before payday or Friday, they'll start sending out their offers. They're very systematic about it. I send offers out when I receive the likes, not like immediately, because I do think sometimes you gotta give people time to breathe before you send them an offer. And also there have been instances where I've sent an offer out and somebody asked me a question and I feel like they would have purchased it full price had I not sent an offer out immediately. Some people wait an hour. I'm not that systematic of a person, if you haven't gathered that by the way I'm answering these questions, but I will send offers. So typically I send out a 20% off offer and discounted shipping. So I will send out 20% all day long over the course of a week or 2 or a month. And then once I have enough likes on an item, I call it collecting likes, and I realize nobody's purchased it at the first offering of 20% off, I'll send out 30% off, and now at this time it will blast out to everybody who didn't accept the 20% offer. So sometimes that's 10 people, sometimes it's 20, 30, and then everybody gets it at 30% off with the discounted shipping, and oftentimes I'll make the sale then. I think also when it goes out to a group of people, there's a little bit more of a sense of urgency. When you see that it's going out to 25 people and it's 30% off with discounted shipping, you're more likely to jump on it than if you're the only person who's getting the offer. So that's what I do. I also like to create a lot of bundles, start a conversation with people, ask questions without being pushy or like cheesy sales tactics. I'll just be like, hey, I'm just checking in. I'm offering whatever percentage off of my bundles. If you want to add to it, let me know. Let me know if I can answer any questions for you. And then I'll send an offer. I like to tell people what my percentage offer is in bundles because then they can do the math. So if they have 10 things in their bundle and I say I'm offering 30% off all bundles over 3 items, they can do the math and they can add, and I always say feel free to make any adjustments in your bundle before I send my offer. Sometimes they'll add, sometimes they'll take away, but they're doing the math knowing that my offer is going to be 30% off. I actually did a video specific to bundling items and my strategies that I use, and I go into offers to likers, so I will include that video here if you want to check it out. I think it's pretty helpful and goes into a lot more detail. Next question is, do you ever turn off Poshmark at a certain time of the day, or is it on until bedtime? Well, I just answered this question kind of earlier. It's on all the time. I think Poshmark is part of the reason why I have a really hard time settling in at night, as my phone is next to me and I'm checking and I'm still like, I just need to shut it down. So the answer to that question is it's on until bedtime and beyond. What I have done is I've turned my phone, you know, you can go into settings and turn on, like you press the moon and then you don't get notifications after, it's like a do not disturb. I have that set to go on at 8 p.m. at night so I don't get notifications. So if I choose to look at Poshmark, it's my decision, but I'm not like constantly like lights flashing on the phone luring me in, you know? So no, that is something that I really need to work on. Are you guys able to turn it off? Just like walk away from Poshmark or just not log in or shut off notifications? It's really hard for me. How many items did you have listed when you started seeing daily sales? This is a question I get asked all the time, all the time. For me, it was between like 400 and 500 listings. But I used to think that you needed a larger closet to be successful or to make regular sales. If you had asked me this question about a year ago, that's how I would have answered. Now I feel like there are plenty of curated closets with less items in their closet that have daily sales and they do very well. But I think those closets are closets to people who know their audience very well. They have a specific aesthetic. They're listing consistently. They're listing desirable outfits and items. I tend to have a more broad-based closet because I have 1,300 items. I have stuff for men, women, kids. I have accessories. I have a variety of sizes and I have a variety of style. So that's why I think I have so many items in my closet. I like the idea of having high-end items with low-end items. So somebody with a $20 budget can come and find something in my closet. Somebody with a $200 budget can come and find something in my closet. I pretty much live my life in a gray area, so I tend to have a little bit of everything in all parts of my life. So my closet is no different. But for me, it was between 400 and 500. But I think that the consistent listing and the consistent sharing and having desirable items is more important than the number of items in your closet. Next question is, how much time do you spend cleaning clothes and what's your best tip? I usually only wash clothes from the bins or from thrift stores if they have a stain or a smell or anything like that that I need to get out. Sometimes items just come in from the thrift store and I steam them and photograph them. One of my favorite items that I've talked about on many occasions is the Zero Odor Spray. This is what it looks like. This is a little baby. I think I bought a 3-pack with like a refillable one, a larger size, and then this little baby that I keep up here because sometimes when I'm packaging things up right before I ship them, if there's any smell or anything, I give it a good spray. It's the Molecular Breakthrough that eliminates odor and leaves no scent. I do think it leaves a little scent, but it's so fresh smelling. It's not a perfume scent. Like I have tried Febreze and some other sprays that are just way too strong for me. They have a really strong perfume aroma and they're just too much. I feel like this is just a true clean scent And I don't think it masks odor. I actually feel like it takes it out. I don't know. It's a miracle thing. I love this stuff. So this is a great tip to use on stuff that you're just trying to get like a fresh smell. I will also say that I've used this on certain items and you can spray the stuff all day long and certain smells just are not coming out. Some people recommend freezing stuff, baking soda, air dry. There's lots of methods you can use, but that is a quick fix for me. I very frequently spray this on an item and then steam it and it comes out beautiful. Next question is, when did you notice a growth in your business and how did you get to it? How did you get to the growth? Again, I sound really boring like a broken record. I think it's all about consistency. I think the growth happens when you consistently do it. And it doesn't happen overnight. I had weeks where I would put in a ton of time and have very low sales. And then the following week, my sales might get a little bit better. But a lot of this business is seed planting. And by that, I mean, you're planting seeds, maybe with your Instagram posts, you're building a community there, or you're sending offers, you're communicating with your buyers. You're getting repeat customers because they're very satisfied with what they're getting the first time you sell an item to them. Maybe you're on YouTube and you're consistently putting out content. Whatever you're doing, whatever you're focusing on, if you're consistent, I think that's where you're going to see the growth. I'm not sure where I started to feel the growth. I know that I started YouTube in January of 2019 and it was October of that year that I got monetized. So I guess it was like about 9 months for me to get monetized. And at that point, it definitely gave me the push and the motivation to kind of keep going because I really wasn't paying attention to my growth, at least on YouTube. And I feel like your growth on YouTube is more measurable. And I'm not suggesting people need YouTube to be successful. I think that's a misconception with a lot of people that think, you know, YouTubers are the people that make the sales. And while I absolutely get a lot of sales from my YouTube videos, like I said earlier, I spend about 15 hours a week on YouTube. And if I spent those 15 hours a week on Poshmark or eBay, my dog wants to go out, or sharing my closet or listing new items, I guarantee you I would make more money over there than I make on YouTube. So I just love YouTube, so it's a passion of mine, so I've spent a lot of time there. Hold on. I think with anything, you're gonna see the growth where you put the love. If you're familiar with me and my channel and my journey here, I did not give eBay any love for the longest time. I talked about it for a long time, but I never was consistent at eBay. And it showed. My sales were about 1/50th on eBay what they were on Poshmark. A lot of people claim they can't sell on Poshmark, but for me, I wasn't being consistent on eBay and that really showed in my numbers. This year, I'm making an effort and I'm seeing the benefit and the reward to my consistency on eBay. It's still a fraction, like in the month of March, I think I had close to $6,000 in sales on Poshmark and my sales on eBay were about 1,000. So they're still far behind Poshmark, but my efforts are starting to pay off over there. My friend Renee wrote, boxers or briefs? You're too funny, Renee. I'm gonna go with boxer briefs. I'm a combination of the two. That's what I like. Next up, what have been your best sales and biggest mistakes? Ooh, I feel like this could be a completely separate video on my best sales and biggest mistakes. I guess my biggest mistake in the beginning, and I don't even consider it a mistake, I consider it like I could have done this better, I learned from this experience, is that I didn't start selling on Poshmark with stuff that was in my closet. I wish I had done that. I feel like I would have learned a lot and it would have cost me no money. When I decided I wanted to be a reseller, I went to TJ Maxx and I went to Savers and I probably spent about $250 and I didn't really know what I was doing. I had some prior experience on eBay and I've always been pretty comfortable. I would sell things on Craigslist. I've always dabbled in reselling, but I was never like that focused on it where I just went out and bought a bunch of stuff. And I should have started with my closet. You can make your mistakes with stuff that you're not that invested in or that you didn't spend extra money on. So that was one of my big mistakes. I really recommend people doing that when they first get started. If you want to hit the thrift store straight up though, I'm not going to tell you not to. I'm not preachy like that. If you just want to go to the thrift store, go for it. But just watch your cost of goods and just know that you probably have some stuff at your house that you could sell and you could learn a lot without spending any money. And you'll be decluttering your house, which is always a fun thing to do. Some of my best sales, I'm just gonna rattle off a couple. I just recently sold a Baba sweater, which I had never heard of, and I stumbled upon it at a thrift store. I paid $5. It sold in 5 days for $210. That was a really good flip. I bought a Burberry coat at a yard sale for $35. I had it cleaned, and $35 or $40. I had it cleaned for $7, and it sold for $400 as a direct sale. I think that's my highest profit sale, that one, because it was direct and I didn't have any fees included. I found a pair of Giuseppe Zanotti crazy shoes at Savers for like $450. Those sold for between $250 and $275 on eBay. That was a great sale. I had never heard of Giuseppe Zanotti. Remember that name? It's a really good bolo if you ever find it. And the shoes were outrageous. They were big heels. They had like white leather and studs. They were fabulous. And I was so excited about that sale. I found a Montclair jacket at the bins, a puffer jacket, and it was so destroyed. It was the most work I've ever put into an item. But I paid probably $2 at the bin, and that sold for like $230 on eBay. So those are the ones that come to mind. They were fresh in my mind because I filmed this already. And sometimes it's not even like the biggest profit margins that excite me. Like I recently found a Kate Spade bangle bracelet, and my best friend's son had just moved to Brooklyn that day. She was driving him. She was really emotional, and I found a bangle and it said "No Sleep Till Brooklyn." I love the Beastie Boys. I love that song. And I found this bracelet and it was $3, so I had to buy it. I got home, had no idea it was like a bangle that A, I didn't realize it was from Kate Spade, and B, I didn't realize it was, you know, something that people were looking for, and it sold in a day for $100. So not my highest profit, but like those types of sales are really fun. The thrill of the hunt with this business is like the adrenaline rush that keeps me going. What's the craziest thing you've ever found in the pockets of the thrifted items? I wish I had something fun and exciting. I've never found anything crazy. Tissues, lint, buttons, gum, mints. I did find a $20 bill though, so that was probably the most exciting thing, but nothing ever crazy. Comment below if you've ever found anything scary in pockets. I hear some crazy stories. How long did it take you to find your stride, i.e. process and sourcing wise? I feel like I've kind of touched on that a little bit. It's a little bit a matter of how frequently you are sourcing. I think if you're doing it on a very part-time level, maybe you're sourcing once every 2 weeks, it might take you a little longer. I'm the type of person that I learn the best through doing. So I always say that the investment you make with reselling, if you're buying for low money, like at the bins or at dollar days or half price sales or yard sales, or you're getting free inventory from friends, getting donations, and you do all your work with that stuff, I learn best by doing. It does take a while to get your footing. I don't know, maybe 6 months before I was feeling really confident. I say 6 months because I started reselling in August and I got on YouTube in January. And not that YouTube has anything to do with anything, except for the fact that I must have felt like I was sort of finding my footing by then to start sharing hauls on YouTube. So I use YouTube just as like a benchmark for me, that I must have felt like I was doing okay in order to hop on and start sharing some of my journey with my audience. What is your favorite sale or most memorable sale? I kind of went over those just now. If I can think of another one, I'll share it, but those were fun ones that came to mind. When sending offers to likers, when do you give discounted shipping? I also went over this. Definitely check out that video. I really go over my strategies in depth on that video. You have to give discounted shipping if you're sending offers to likers. Poshmark makes you offer some form of shipping. So you can do free shipping, you can do $4.99, and my favorite one now, which is new, is just $5.95 shipping. I love that little button. I just had to switch SD cards because my other one was full. I'm wondering if I'm getting more tan as this video goes on. Next question is, have you found it helpful to share regularly to Posh parties? I used to share much more regularly to the parties. Now it's kind of, if like, for example, today there was a boho vibe party, I happened to be on my computer and I just shared some of the boho items in my closet. I like to share at the 10 p.m. one just because I feel like a lot of people are on the app, but I used to be much more attentive to the parties about a year and a half ago. I think the most important thing is that you're sharing your closet and not necessarily that you're sharing to the party. That being said, I do think that Poshmark puts these parties at times where people are active on the app. So you are more likely to get more eyes on your product if you are sharing at those times. I don't have any information that supports that when I share to a party, I sell more items. I don't remember any instance where I was like, oh, look at that, I shared these items and I sold a bunch. Maybe I'm sharing items more frequently and then people are liking them, and then maybe I'll send out offers and then I'll make the sale, but I don't think that I'm making a lot of sales directly just from sharing to parties. Next question is, how often do you source retail arbitrage? For those of you who might be unfamiliar, retail arbitrage is purchasing items at a retail location and then selling them for profit online. I very rarely go out specifically to shop for retail arbitrage. If I'm at TJ Maxx picking up something, like I was just at TJ Maxx shopping for Easter, and I definitely looked through the racks to see if there was anything that I could resell. I didn't find anything. I was at Marshall's yesterday doing some sourcing for Amazon, which wasn't super successful, and I found a Free People shirt that was marked from $39 on clearance for $15. The price tag was $118. I was gonna buy that, but then I looked at the comps and the comps were only around $40, and I just didn't think it was that worth it. I mean, maybe I could have gotten $50, but I wasn't that excited about it, so I put it back. I have on a couple occasions gone out to like Nordstrom Clear the Rack sale and picked up things specifically, went there thinking, okay, I'm gonna shop retail arbitrage. And there was one other store that I went with my friend Jen, shout out to the Savvy Outfitter. We did a day of retail arbitrage, but typically it's just when I happen to be shopping. It's not really my thing, so it's not surprising to me that I did it with my friend Jen because she had more of a routine, so I did it with her and it was actually a successful day. I loved it. Next question, what was your very first sale and where did you get the item? My very first sale was a pair of Burberry clogs that I got at a Savers in New Hampshire, and they sold within a day and I was hooked immediately. They were like Dr. Scholl's like slip-on cloggy type of sandals with like the wooden part, and the Burberry plaid was on the wood part of the shoe. They were really cute, but they were just really uncomfortable. I bought them for myself. That was my first sale. It was kind of a fun first sale. Next question is from my son Rocco. What's for dinner tonight? He's a wise guy. I think we're ordering out tonight, Rocco. Not that you're watching my video. There's no chance you're watching this, but he's funny. Next question, do you think making custom stickers, thank you cards, etc. is worth the money? Not necessarily. I think it's just a personal thing. I just, for the first time, got business cards and thank you stickers like around Christmas time. I ordered some through Vistaprint. There was a sale for Black Friday, and I had been in business for almost, you know, over 2 years before I got them. So no, I do it because I like packaging and I think it's fun to have like branding and stuff like that, but I did not think it was essential for a long time. I still don't think it's essential. I think it's a preference, and I think if you're working to really make your brand stand out, which I am, that is why I did it. So I got these like little square business cards with all my info on the back. And I hate this picture. I wish I didn't use it. It's just a little like too much of a close-up. And these are my little stickers, which I love my stickers. These I love because I do put stickers on all of my packaging. So I think those were a good purchase, but definitely not essential. Least favorite and favorite items to list. Definitely my least favorite items to list are black slacks, black pants. Just black in general is tricky, and which is ironic because I live in black. I wear it all the time. But it's hard to get the lint off. It's hard to get the detail on black items, and pants just are not my favorite. Favorite items for me are items that I can put in my little Amazon box. I like to take pictures in portrait mode and just get a lot of detail in pictures. So typically like shoes or handbags that I can get fun angles. I'll put a little greenery in there. Anytime I can play around with photography, I think it's really fun. Anytime I don't have to take measurements, I think it's really fun, which is why usually things that go inside my little photo box, I enjoy photographing. I mean, shirts are really easy too, but I feel like I can get a little more artsy with my photo box. Okay, my lighting is getting a little funky, so I had to move a little bit, and my assistant Caitlin was leaving. I had to write her a check, and now I am back. How many hours a week do you work? I kind of already answered that. Work being sourcing, listing, inventorying. Okay, so if we're not including YouTube, I probably work between 30 and 40 hours a week without YouTube, depending on the week. And also, I should mention that now that I have an assistant, Caitlin comes 3 times a week for 3 hours. So she works 9 hours a week photographing. So that's time that I've gotten back to do more editing, to answer more questions on Instagram and things like that, to film videos and such. So that has definitely taken some work off of my plate. Next question, have you had cases opened against you? And what do you do? Yes, for sure, I've had cases. In fact, this week I had a case opened on a pair of Hoka One sneakers that I sent out, and the pictures that I took, these have been returned to me once before, and the pictures that I showed on my listing had the insole, and then when I sent them out, they did not have the insole. They were returned to me, and I didn't look at them when I got the return, and I think what happened was whoever bought them the first time took the insoles out and then shipped the sneakers back to me. And I didn't follow up. I just left them in the bag that they were shipped back. And it wasn't until I shipped them out and I didn't even realize that they were missing the insole when I shipped them. So I think it's part of the business. It's just the territory that we live in here on Poshmark in sales and customer service. So returns are going to happen. How I deal with a case varies from case to case. I had one case that comes to mind. I remember it was a sweater that was short-waisted and had very long arms, and it was a large, but it ran on the smaller size. And literally in my description, I said, size large, but runs small. I gave the measurements, cropped length with the measurements, and sleeves are extra long. I wrote all those things. They opened up the case and they said, this says large, but it runs small, and the sleeves are really long. And so in that case, I had really covered my bases by putting all that stuff in the description. I didn't have to say anything, and I kind of knew I didn't have to say anything because I had already put everything in my description. So Poshmark judged in my favor on that particular one. Other times I make a mistake, like with these Hoka ones, and I'll just write in the comments and just say, please process the return. I'm so sorry. The item was not as described or whatever. I apologize for any inconvenience. Sometimes I will fight a case if I feel that the buyer is like wrongly accusing me of something. And there was one particular that I felt like I fought pretty hard and then I lost and I was really frustrated. But try not to take it personally. For the most part, you know, Poshmark is fair. I think more fair than a platform like eBay where the buyer is usually right on eBay. I do think that Poshmark will sometimes side with you as the seller if you're doing all the right things, like including measurements, including any flaws with the item, showing nice clear pictures. So sometimes I don't say anything and I just let the process play out. Get the return back and I'll just relist an item, and sometimes I make more money the second time around. So don't get too bent out of shape. It's going to happen, and try not to take it personally. What are you buying for warmer months? I feel like I'm stuck looking for sweaters. This question is so relatable to me. I love buying sweaters. I feel like I can go through the sweater rack so much faster than I can go through other racks. And in general, fall and winter items I feel have a better return as far as money coming back to me. Outerwear, boots, jeans, sweaters, they all tend to make a lot more money than, like, you know, cut off shorts and tank tops. Bathing suits can bring in good money, but bathing suits are tough to sell without people trying them on. So for the summer, I am buying shorts. I've noticed that denim shorts have already started to sell for me. One of the things that I love to purchase in general are caftans, and I find that I've been looking more and more in like the robe section for even just like vintage robes or satiny robes. I have a couple coming that I'm going to share with you in my next haul video. But I do love caftans because I feel like they're almost like the sweater of summer. They're like a cover-up. Like, I like to wear things over tank tops, over bathing suits in the summer. So I'm a big caftan girl, and I think they're a beautiful thing for the summer. I think they photograph very well. They're very light if you're shopping at the bins. And I feel like caftans are also something that I feel I usually pick up for style. I've sold lots of caftans that have no particular brand attached to them that are just beautiful, and they sell for decent money. So I am definitely on the hunt for caftans, cover-ups, whatever you want to call them, for the summer. I think they're a fun thing to include in my closet that can also transition into the fall if people want to wear them, you know, with jeans or things like that. I think they're a very versatile piece. Best sourcing tips for newbies. I love your channel and podcast. Aw, thank you so much. Best sourcing tips, run comps. I think when you're new, and this gets back to what I touched on a little bit earlier, it's really important to do your research. That research can start right at home. Like I said, I know it's not very exciting, but grab some clothes from your closet and run comps on them. See what certain brands are selling for. Before you even leave your house, you can run comps and get some ideas about what you should source when you go out there. But when you are outsourcing, pay really close attention to condition. That is something that I feel like I overlooked a lot in the beginning, which I guess I would put in the category of mistakes I've made, that question from earlier. I used to buy a lot at the bins and not look things over very carefully. And I used to use the mentality like, it's only $1, I'm gonna buy it. And I've tried to resist that temptation as I've gotten further along with my reselling career, and realize that even if something is super inexpensive, it doesn't mean I want to spend the time on it. So I think that Montclair jacket that I found at the bins is a perfect example of something that was well worth my effort, worth every minute I spent scrubbing that and soaking it in my magic mixture, which I learned from Street Savvy, Savannah. If you're not following Street Savvy, she has some great haul videos. When I was first starting with reselling, I watched all of Savannah's haul videos. Like I would literally press refresh on my computer until she would come out with a new Goodwill outlet haul, because she found so many great items and her hauls were long and I loved them. But she talked about mixing peroxide, Dawn liquid detergent, and baking soda and making a paste and using it for specific stains, or just making it like a soak, adding more water and just soaking stuff in it. So I use that technique a lot. Sometimes people swear by Oxy to clean things, OxyClean. But as far as sourcing goes, try not to be so tempted by those cheap items just because they're cheap. Run your comps and make sure they're worth taking home, because what you'll realize really quickly is your time is super valuable. So if you're spending a lot of time cleaning an item that's only going to bring you like a $5 or $10 return, you realize really quickly that it wasn't necessarily worth it. It was worth it on a Montclair coat that brought me over $200. It's not worth it for, like, say, an Ann Taylor Loft t-shirt or tank top that isn't going to be a big return anyways. I have this playlist called From the Store to Your Door. It's a 5-part series where I talk about sourcing from the very beginning until shipping an item out the door, every step of the way. And in my very first video, I focus on sourcing, and I talk about my 5 strands of sourcing, and I can't remember them off the top of my head, but it's like looking at cost, condition, brand, style, and I can't remember my 5th one, but they're basically the 5 things that I think of before I make a purchase. So even if it's a good style, if it's not a good brand, it might not sell, it might. On the flip side of that, just because it's a good brand doesn't mean it's a good style. And I think that's the one that a lot of us get caught up in. We're like, oh, well, somebody said that this brand sells, so I'm gonna buy it, even though it's super outdated and not in good condition and it costs too much money. Like, I think of 5 different strands when I'm outsourcing to help me make my decisions. And they don't always check all the boxes. The good things are the things that line up completely. Low cost, great brand, great style, great condition. What the hell was the other one? I can't remember it. If I remember it, I'll put it on the screen. But I think I might re-release that video and go over those 5 strands in more detail, because they were part of the first video, which was part of a big series, but I feel like that video warrants a standalone video to just talk about sourcing. So comment below if you would like me to do that video in more detail for you. The last question for today is, what is your favorite personal brand? This is a tough one for me to narrow down. I think Johnny Was is a real favorite for me. And as much as I love Free People, sometimes their stuff just doesn't look great on me. And as much as I love the boho vibe, I feel like I'm like slowly transitioning, not away from it, but I'm appreciating more minimalist styles. But I do love Johnny Was. I think their quality is just a cut above like a Free People, and their embroidery and their pieces are just so gorgeous. Some of my favorite pieces are from Johnny Was. I'm in the process right now of saving for a new Louis Vuitton bag. That is is a brand that I love, but it's not like a clothing brand. I love Fry. I love my Fry boots. I have a Fry handbag that I love. I'm sure there are others that I just can't think of right now, but that's the gist. You get the vibe of what I love. All right, so that's it. We have wrapped up my questions. I hope I got to everybody's question there. I had a few pages. I tried to combine a few, but I hope I touched on the questions that most of you had for me. It was really fun to see the questions that you did ask. And it's always fun to reflect on some of my practices and what works for me, what doesn't work. And I think that my answers evolve as time goes on, and I just hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy the video, please give it a thumbs up. It means so much to me. Subscribe if you want to see more of my content. I'll probably have another video out this Sunday, and it will probably be a haul video. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all of you, and I'll be back soon. Love you. Bye.